Dear guests from the parliaments of the member countries of APPF, especially greetings to Mr. Nakasone, who is attending, replacing Mr. Nakasone, who is the honorary president of the APPF. And to our colleague Josana Alvarado, first vice president of this National Assembly, and our colleague Marcela Aguinaga, second vice president of this National Assembly. Valentina Magdieco, president of the Council of Federation of the Federal Assembly of the Federation of Russia. Mr. Bambisha, Speaker of the House of Australia. Mr. Musa Haram, President of the Senate of Malaysia. Mr. Ismail Mohand Sai, President of the House of Representatives of Malaysia. Mrs. Doris Sofia Brody, Vice President of the Senate of Malaysia. Mr. San Pawen, Vice President of the National Assembly of the People's Republic of China. Mr. Fatlis Son, Vice President of the Chamber of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, heads of delegation of Cambodia, Canada, Chile, Republic of Korea, Japan, Mexico, Federation of the States of Micronesia, New Zealand, Singapore, and Vietnam. And ladies and gentlemen, members of the delegations participating in the 23rd annual meeting of the Asia Pacific Parliamentary Forum. Dear Galo Chiriboga, Attorney General of the Nation, Mr. Ramiro Zindeida, Public Defender of the Nation, Pedro Paez, Superintendent of Market Control, ladies and gentlemen, ministers and secretaries of state, and ladies and gentlemen of the diplomatic corps and ambassadors accredited in Ecuador, ladies and gentlemen, members of parliament of the National Assembly of Ecuador, Mrs. Vice Mayor of Quito, dear national authorities, guests, and special guests. It is a pleasure and an honor for me to give you a warm welcome to our country, to the middle of the world, especially this Asia Pacific Forum. I would like to thank each one of the delegations which, with their perseverance and their attendance, so many hours of travel by each one of the delegations to reach our country so far away, give so much importance to this forum and give it such importance. We would like to reaffirm our leadership in multilateral processes for political consensus building and cooperation. Ecuador welcomes you in the middle of the world, aware of the huge responsibility that we as hosts have to conduct this 23rd annual meeting of the Asia Pacific Parliamentary Forum. Those of us who are here today at the middle of the world, we have the obligation to build up this opportunity for interparliamentary dialogue and cooperation to make progress in a active and committed multilateralism to solve the common problems that we face as a region. It is nothing new that the Pacific Rim is increasingly important and has growing leadership that has transformed it into an important stage to discuss and solve global problems. The dimension of Asia Pacific, not only in terms of demographics, but also in terms of economy and politics, is for our country a future of reciprocity and interdependence, which is increasingly great, that provides with us the challenge of establishing bridges and building consensuses to respond to the problems of a world that is increasingly complex. The Pacific is the name that the Portuguese navigator Magellan gave to this ocean 5 centuries ago. We must give honor to this name, providing from each one of our countries to build a common agenda and to lay the foundations for a future of peace and shared prosperity. One ocean brings us together, but also history brings us together. A history that for the Americans of the North, the Center, and the South starts actually in Asia, from whence came the first men and women that populated the mountains and plains of this continent thousands of years ago. This early link between Asia and America was possible through the Bering Strait, which during the Ice Age was the physical bridge that made it possible to populate America. We once again remember this bridge, thinking of the new bridges that we have to build between ourselves if we wish to take up the full scope and depth of the responsibility that comes from the global challenges that we must tackle, challenges that we have to broach jointly, all of the peoples that are part of this promising region. The challenges of our time require huge understanding and an effective commitment to multilateralism. It comes from the problems that have become planetary, not only because it is no longer possible for any country to be marginalized from global development, but because these problems can compromise the future life on Earth, combating poverty and inequality, reducing the technology divide, democratizing knowledge, are battles that we cannot give up if we wish to lay the foundations for development with equity. From Ecuador, we offer the world with humility an alternative model of development to face the crisis of hegemonic models and the dramatic crisis that these models have led us to. This new model we have called the good way of living, retaking and projecting ideas, sensibilities, and world visions of our ancestral nations, which is putting the human being at the center of everything above capital. Human being is the beginning and the end of everything in harmony with nature. We hope that our voice and that our action join already those that have spoken up to promote in world a change in civilization based on these values of solidarity and reciprocity, as well as to assume responsibility to share everything together, to be responsible for our sons and daughters and the future generations of this planet. Mother Earth of our ancestral peoples are for these new generations. We who have received the responsibility from our constituents to discuss the present and the future of our societies and nations in our parliaments and in forums such as these, we cannot but take up this responsibility with a vocation and a conviction that is on par with the needs and the aspirations of our peoples. We reaffirm once again in this forum our gamble to work for multilateralism, not only economic but also political multilateralism, and our conviction for the need to recognize the multipolar world. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for your commitment to build this collective forum for a world that is plural, diverse, and at the same time aware of our common destiny. On the basis of these principles, Ecuador, as host of this 23rd Asia Pacific Parliamentary Forum, has proposed, with the observations of many countries, and that has been ratified today by the Executive Committee of this forum, to set up an agenda to be discussed focusing on three major subjects: politics and security, economy, regional cooperation, and the challenges for the future of this forum. These four major subjects have led to 9 sub-subjects that shall be discussed in 10 working groups that will lead to the resolutions to be ratified at this final plenary session. We would like to repeat once again our welcome to all the members of Parliament that belong to this forum, and we hope that this forum will continue to establish and build up these bridges to strengthen our ties, not only bilaterally with the countries that we need to continue building with greater and greater cooperation, greater interinstitutional relationships, but also to establish a much stronger relationship that is stronger, more coherent, more practical amongst the member countries of our Asia-Pacific region. Welcome, and I wish you success in your endeavors at this Asia-Pacific Parliamentary Forum.